Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. I'm your host, Wesley, and we have not done this intro 3 times, and I'm joined today by my co-host,
Mary. And you're still not singing. It's not singing.
I am singing.
You're not singing.
Define singing. You with the music major.
Singing is a sustained note on different tones.
That's what I'm doing.
You're sustaining a couple of tones, but it's not melodic. It's just a sustained tone.
Wow. Just a small town, Wanda.
There you go. That's
living in a lonely Palau. They voted me off first. Now I'm super sad. Imagine if she was on Oolong. Let's do it. Just an Alabama boy, born and raised in Huntsville. That's Bobby John. I forgot how the rest of the lyrics go, but that's Wanda and Bobby John. And in an alternate universe, Stephenie's not the popular one. Wanda is, and Wanda and Bobby John fall in love.
That's weird.
Hey, first off, you haven't seen Guatemala, so you don't even see how Stephenie and Bobby John fall in love. So
I don't think they ever fall in love.
Why? Are you serious right now?
Because I just watched Survivor Palau. They were the only 2 people on the beach, and they were pretty annoyed with each other.
They still weren't making out.
Yeah.
If it was Rob and Amber, they'd be like, "Oh, this is perfect. Why did we win all the challenges on All Stars? We should have lost. Got down just us 2, and then we could have just been, woo."
Yeah, that did not happen.
I mean, that kind of happened actually on All Stars.
We're jumping like way ahead in this podcast.
Sorry. Okay, so let's just talk about how much we love Wanda. No. All right, so Palau, we didn't do this before when we recorded at all, but let's rank the 5 seasons that you've watched so far. As a reminder, Amazon, Pearl Islands, All Stars, Vanuatu, Palau. Number 1.
Pearl Islands is number 1.
Okay. Number 2.
I think probably Vanuatu.
Okay.
And
number
then
2
Amazon.
is Vanuatu.
Then Amazon.
This is the 3rd time we've done this ranking, and you've changed.
I know, because
time.
there's different.
The only one's been
like,
consistent is
Pearl
number 1.
Islands is number 1 for sure.
Okay.
Like I
all right,
know.
so this time Vanuatu's number 2. Nobody will ever know what your other number 2s were. It definitely wasn't All Stars at one point.
Yeah, that was a bad choice.
3.
Then we have Amazon.
Okay. 4.
Mm-hmm. Palau.
5.
All Stars.
Wow, I think that's controversial. Also, though, you have watched basically a good stretch of seasons, with the exception of All Stars. Amazon, Pearl Islands, Vanuatu.
Yeah, I think they were all pretty good. I think that's why I'm having trouble like ranking them correctly.
So, but today we're here to talk about Palau, so let's focus on that. I will say that the next few seasons are good. I wouldn't say any of them are amazing. Oh, well, some people love Cook Islands. We'll get there when we get there. So, Palau. Let's just start with our favorite character. Like, as soon as the first episode was done, we're like, what happened? Why isn't Wanda there for the rest of the season?
No, I was
she
not
should have
like
won.
that at all, actually.
I was like,
I know you're like that.
Wow. So actually, I do want to point out, and this is a fun fact for anyone who watches the premiere of Palau over streaming. They completely cut out all of Wanda's singing. Like, completely. And I don't think she even gets her confessional, because I think it's in regards to the singing, and when you cut it out, her confessional doesn't matter. So like, if you watch the premiere over a streaming service, you are like, why does anyone care about Wanda? Mm-hmm. So in that case, I recommend watching her. I think all of her stuff is on YouTube. All her clips are on YouTube. I could be wrong, but I recall this. We watched it on DVD because I knew that they cut out all the singing in the streaming, and I'm like, we can't just miss the gloriousness of Wanda. So, AK the first or second boot, I guess technically it's second boot of Palau, because the opening twist where they have 20 people for the first time ever, and on day 2 of them get cut because they do a schoolyard pick of tribes, and only 9 people could be on each tribe. What did you think of that?
I thought that was interesting, especially giving them 2 days, because I've seen before where like they immediately start and Jeff's like, okay, pick
You mean
someone
Blood
to leave.
versus Water?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what season.
That's when they remember, because Rupert's wife gets picked, and Rupert's like, no, I'll do it, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, I'll do it for my wife.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, see now I get the Rupert voice after 2 seasons of Rupert. Now I get it in Palau. Great. That's actually a complete sidetrack. So I was looking at the Guatemala special features yesterday from the DVD. One of them is an interview with Rupert, and I'm like, What does Rupert have to do with Guatemala?
People just like Rupert.
What doesn't Rupert have to do with Guatemala? Rupert is Survivor, don't you know?
Yes, exactly.
Now I get the Rupert voice. Wow. After all those podcasts, I didn't have it. Now I got it. Okay, so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. So yeah, it was very interesting because they let them feel like they were actually safe. They didn't really tell them what was going on. They're just all one big tribe on the beach. And I don't know, I thought it was a pretty good twist. I do think it always sucks when someone gets cut, like before even a challenge or anything. But it's an interesting twist of the game.
I want to say, like, so obviously they only got so much time to show us, especially in these, since Pearl Islands, all the premieres have been of 42 minutes instead of like the hour 5 minutes that was for Amazon and Pearl Islands. A little disappointing. I'm sure that Survivor wanted them to be longer, the show. It's like, what do you, they didn't show it because I don't think they had enough time, but like, I wonder what everyone thought was going to happen. Like, did they think this was going to be a one world situation? Like, do you think they're like, maybe we will be all one tribe on one beach, you know, or not one tribe, but maybe two tribes on one beach, or
I remember them talking. I mean, everybody was speculating. Of course, they couldn't show all the speculation.
I'm saying that I wonder if anyone accurately guessed and there's like, oh, we're not going to show that.
Well, maybe. Yeah. It's definitely possible.
What if everyone's like, okay, obviously the immediate necklace is let us pick the tribes. I don't know.
I doubt that it would go that far.
It seems like when it happens, though, it's like, it's so obvious this was what's going to happen. But I guess at the time it was unprecedented for the show. The only other time they had done schoolyard pick was Thailand, and it was just like, who's the oldest people here? And that's who picked the tribes. So Survivor already knew who's going to pick the tribes. There was no like, here it was like complete, like they had no idea how these tribes were going to be split up. Yeah.
Which we probably should talk about that because that was actually how the show really opened.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so day one, they're like, LOL, I'm on a speedboat. Kind of, by the way, Jeff, this season, I've noticed, and I'm thinking about possibly making this a list. Jeff this season is kind of a jerk in a lot of places, and I'm not sure if like he's having Julie Berry withdrawals or he's just like kind of over it or what's going on.
Well, he got sick at one point too.
Yeah, he gets sick at one point, but that's not really a jerk move.
No, I just mean like it seems like he had a really bad couple of weeks.
This is like not. This is probably. I mean, Jeff Probst's like. There's like literally at the time when Oolong goes to travel. Well, when they go to travel. There's one time Oolong goes to travel. He's like, "Oh, I saved your seat for you." Like, Jeff, like, chill out.
I mean, that's kind of like normal. It was kind Jeff of to me. I thought that was funny.
It was like modern Jeff, but like in the first 9 seasons, we haven't really got like Jeff.
Sure.
Like, there's been an occasional Jeff like jerk move, maybe. Besides the fake merge, I don't really have anything off the top of my head. But Jeff this season definitely has. It's funny because this is one of the best seasons by most fans, and Jeff seems like he's just not happy.
He did not seem happy.
This is not how the tribe's supposed to work out. We were supposed to Oolong the Oolong tribe. Of course, it's like in the moment he doesn't understand like how significant this is. He's like more annoyed than anything at Oolong, but I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Sorry. So they pick tribes, Ian and Yolanda.
No, at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Very beginning, they had the boat.
Oh, we're going way back to the beginning.
Well, yeah, because it explains why Jonathan
Rewind time.
It explains why Jonathan gets kicked off. Because otherwise you don't like...
Who the heck cares about Jonathan when there's Wanda?
But it was a really interesting opening to the season, I thought.
Just a small town, Wanda.
So they're all on a boat.
In a lonely Oolong.
And Jeff tells them that basically the first man to the beach and the first woman to the beach both get immunity. And so they can decide when they want to get out of the boat, if they want to, row,
because they have like,
they were like, it looked like
guessing based
a mile from the beach, but I don't know.
I want to say less. Further, dude. I mean, you could be wrong. It's really hard to tell, obviously. We don't have like an aerial shot and like also by the way, here's what 100 feet looks like so we can like measure it out. But guessing, it definitely looks like a mile, maybe 2.
Right. And so they have to row. So of course they row for a long time. But then Jonathan and Stephenie.
Oh my gosh.
Both jump out of the boat and they're still like hundreds.
Well, first off, Wanda sings a song, I think, and then they maybe because Wanda's singing, they jump
they're
out
like, let's get out.
Like, oh my gosh, I can't listen to another rendition of a Wanda Survivor song.
And didn't she already have her clothes off? Basically,
Who?
Wanda.
Wanda doesn't just get
that was
naked.
later. No, just like in her nightgown thing that she was wearing. But that was later.
I think that her nightgown is her only is there 2 outfits for Wanda?
Yeah, she was wearing regular clothes.
Yeah. She's wearing like a dress.
Okay. Anyways, that was later. So yeah, she's wearing regular clothes still. Sorry.
I don't even remember that.
And Jonathan and Stephenie jump
Yeah.
out of the boat, and the boat like just leaves them in the dust.
And that's
They're
just in
like-
the opening shot, by the way. If for anyone if you can remember the theme song, it's like in the opening shot where Stephenie jumps in the water. They use it, they use it like right in the beginning because it's such a cool looking shot. But it's like when they did it, you're like, this is a mistake.
It was such a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were really excited.
That boat's gonna, they think they're gonna outpace the boat by swimming, but no, the boat's gonna outpace them.
Right. The boat definitely outpaced
And they
them.
jumped out with a bunch of distance. It wasn't like they jumped out and it's like, okay, we are kind of no.
No, they were like still halfway.
way
from the
too
beach.
far. I think they were the last 2 to get to the beach.
Right.
So basically, it's a race for the first man, first woman to get an immunity necklace on the beach. Ian and Yolanda get the necklaces, and they're like, "Okay, cool, we have immunity, but from immunity from what? They don't have buffs. There's no tribe flag. There's nothing.
There's not even. Do they have a map?
Basically, just like LOL.
might have had
Well,
a
maybe
map.
map, maybe to water,
Right.
but I besides that, do they have a map to water season? I feel like we haven't really got to the seasons where they have a well yet. But if there was, I know
There was a well.
there's a couple seasons in the earlier days where they had basically access to water.
Remember, because the first beach, it was all nice and open,
Yeah.
and there was
Oh
like
my
this
gosh,
nice
the
well.
first beach is so nice.
Yeah, it was this really great place to.
And we're just kind of jumping around,
Yeah.
so don't hold us to this. But remember, okay, so the first challenge they win, and then Jeff's like, okay, everyone, you have to go. One of these tribes has to go live on our beach. Now, the tribe who won, Karor, Tom's tribe, you get to pick whether you want to stay on the beach. That's super open. You've already either built a shelter or started building a shelter with 20 hands helping you. Or do you want to go to a brand new beach you've never seen in your entire life and build a brand new shelter? And Tom's like, yeah, let's just do the new place. And I'm sure others had agreed with him. But it's like, why would you pick the place you don't know?
I don't know.
When the place you do know is like, it is such a like tale of two cities. Like, I guess it's a good thing Oolong wasn't on the bad beach because then we would have felt even worse for them.
Mm-hmm.
But the beach they picked sucks in comparison like to the Oolong. The Oolong beach, like there's like all this open space, and for anyone who has seen Micronesia, this is like the same exact location they'll do Micronesia in. Because Micronesia, they'll there's like that cave there, and there's the open space. Yeah, Micronesia.
Oh yeah, the
Same
cave.
exact beach
Yeah.
they'll be on for Micronesia. But no, Tom, I don't understand why Karor picked a beach they have never seen before. Maybe they thought it was full of riches.
They
Yeah,
wanted adventure.
that's what they said.
It's like, take option A that or take option B behind the curtain or whatever.
I guess.
It's a mentality. Anyway, so yes, they spend 2 days on the beach together, all 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get to Ian and Yolanda get to basically start new tribes of 18 people.
And I want to point out that at this point, there have been some alliances made. Like Coby and Angie have like gotten close. They're both like, we're weird. Because Coby is like Coby, I think is I'm 5'10". I think Kobe's like, I want to say he's like a big dude. I want to say he's like 6'2" or something. Like just looking at him,
Maybe 6 foot.
Because especially when they do that later on, when they do that like shoving challenge with the thing, like the sumo challenge, and James just gets wrecked. Kobe's like clearly bigger than James, so he's a big guy, but he's clearly gay. I mean, I don't know if he openly says on the show, but I don't know. I don't remember if he explicitly
Yes, he
says.
does.
Okay, well, it's just like it's yeah. I also have followed Coby on Twitter, so I just know this anyways. So I'm like trying not to mix up two, but yeah, he's gay. So you got him, and he's kind of the only. I think he's the only one there who's like obviously gay. Whereas like last season we had 2 lesbians in Amy and Scout, and they were both in the same tribe, so they weren't even like. I guess they were quote unquote the oddballs, but at the same time like they didn't give like obvious vibes of.
They got along with everyone.
Yeah, they got along with everybody. And
Kobe
Coby here's
doesn't.
already.
Yeah, it's already rubbing.
And then
against
Angie
people.
is like got covered in tattoos, and she's like the female Lex, I guess, physically, in that case. But yeah, they're like immediately like, okay, let's be friends, because we went to the water well together. You're right, there was a water well. I'm remembering. And then you got Tom, Ian, Katie, and Steph all make an alliance of sorts that we see. And then, of course, they're only going to show us the ones that matter, which is why I was curious why they even showed us Coby and Angie, because when it goes to picking the tribes, Coby gets picked for Karor, and then he has a choice of what female he want to pick, and he doesn't pick Angie. What a jerk.
That's why they showed you.
I know.
Yeah.
What, just to like make Coby look like a jerk?
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, honestly, I'd thought that the way he made the alliance with Angie was kind of a jerk move too, because he was like, oh, when I saw you, I was like, great, I'm not the weirdest one out here. So like he's insulting her while at the same time trying to make an alliance.
I think he's just saying like, oh yeah, he's like saying like, I thought I was gonna be the weirdest one until I met you.
Right, exactly.
I just realized.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, I don't really like this guy.
I will say this season's not funnier than Vanuatu. Vanuatu is full of humor, but this season does have some funny moments, especially with the Oolonging themselves. I want to mention though with Koror, it's interesting. So Ian is as I mentioned, that Ian, Tom, Katie, Steph thing that was shown in the premiere, and then Ian gets to pick the tribe. So he picked Katie, and I don't remember who Katie picks, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't go Ian, Katie, Tom, Steph like it could have,
right?
Which is kind of weird, which makes me wonder why. Because Steph ends up getting the shaft, obviously, goes to Oolong, and probably for the betterment of her Survivor career. Because I think if she was on Koror, she would have been another Koror member, and she wouldn't have been uber popular, unless I guess she won the season, which possibly, I guess. I think Tom was just like, he was just like perfect man to be in the perfect place at the right time. He was just like, everything fell into place for Tom.
I don't know. That's interesting. I think if Stephenie was in Koror, she would have definitely had a better chance.
Well, let me take a look at I don't know if there's a way to look at the order these tribes are picked. I don't know. But yeah, Stephenie was on Koror. I think it's a different season, and maybe Oolong isn't as interesting, or somebody else ends up being, or Oolong still gets Oolong because Stephenie wasn't. I mean, unless we're saying that whoever replaces Stephenie is a better asset to Oolong, Oolong still gets Oolong.
No.
Yeah, Stephenie was just decent in challenges, but she wasn't like the worst one there.
Stephenie was great in she was the best one in challenges,
and there
were
really
definitely people in Koror who were terrible.
But then Stephenie gets the individual game; she wins no challenges. So I don't know how much it is to say that Stephenie was great at challenges.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyways,
okay,
that's another alternate universe.
So with that though, we've kind of skipped over, I guess, the World War theme.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the theme of everything's just like the buffs are camo. Because let's see, Oolong has the blue camo buff, which reminds me of the Navy, by the way, before the Navy ever did it. So the Navy probably owes Survivor money. I was in the Navy, and I remember when we moved blue camo, and I'm like, what are we camouflaging ourselves from? And Mary's laughing as if this is the first time I've ever said this joke to her. Thank you. That was very kind of you. But no, like they did that. Like I joined the Navy, and like 3 months in, they're like, okay, we're switching to blue camo now. So in case you fall in the water, no one could find you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they want us to die. So anyways, Oolong has the blue camo buffs. Koror has the brown camo buffs. And then this season, since there is never officially a merge, they have green camo buffs for what was supposed to be the merge tribe. But since that never happened, they went unused. And apparently they did sell them on CBS, but it's all those drugs I've been doing. And by drugs, I mean Survivor. They had green camo buffs that apparently did sell on CBS's website, but yeah, otherwise you would have no idea if you didn't buy one because they don't show up in the show.
Interesting.
I think it's interesting how this is what I mean by we're just totally jumping around. They got the World War theme and everything, but like it's interesting how they don't do, like, even when Steph goes Koror, they don't merge them. She just becomes Koror. It's like, I wonder why that is.
Because everything, or this had never happened before, I guess.
Yeah, was it to like show respect to Koror? They dominated a tribe. They didn't merge them.
I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I wondered that too, because like even with one person, it's still technically a merge because, I mean, I would imagine, but
I don't know. No,
they never really explained why.
The only other time I can think of something like this happening, and this is a slight spoiler for Survivor Philippines, so if you haven't seen Survivor Philippines, skip ahead like a minute. But on Survivor Philippines, when Matt Singh gets Oolong basically, and they just like eliminate them, and it's just down to Denise and Malcolm, they don't. It's not, obviously there's still two other tribes, but they don't call it like a tribe swap like they normally do. It's like they dissolve the tribe. So it's kind of what they're doing here. They're dissolving Oolong. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you were skipping for Philippines, you're good now. So yeah, the World War theme. Let's talk. Okay, so the theme so far, the seasons that you've watched, thankfully you've been watching seasons that actually have themes. The first 5 were just kind of like Survivor in a different location, like just basic Survivor. Mm-hmm. Amazon, men versus women. That was the theme, I guess. Mm-hmm. Pearl Island's pirate theme, and it was like full on. All Stars, I guess you could say, everyone's an all-star. I don't know. Hey now, we're an all-star. Get your game on. Go play. Thanks, Wanda. And then Vanuatu, men versus women again. But the Islands of Fire thing, like, it was constantly showing imagery of that. And then the rewards were like, then they had locals. It was super cool. Mm-hmm. And then this season, World War theme. Which one had the best implementation of the theme?
I think Pearl Island still had the best.
Yeah.
But this would be a close second.
I don't think any season tops Pearl Islands.
No.
They like the music and everything. Mm-hmm. I can't remember this season having, like, maybe they did. Like, did they have war-themed music at all? Like,
nothing that I just remember standing out, but it still seemed very Survivor themed. But all the challenges were war themed. Mm-hmm. All of the all the challenges were like battles. Mm-hmm. Was there one you liked more than any other challenge? Do you one that you remember? I like the just probably there was some that we don't see a lot in modern Survivor. Mm-hmm. I feel like most of them, yeah. I really liked the one where they had to, like, one at a time get pulled out by their tribe mates, and they had to get the bottle, and then they get pulled back. And the one where Ibrahim didn't get the bottle. Didn't get the bottle. I don't know. Because they went down. Didn't they, like, basically go down to that? Like, they went down to a wreckage. Or was it another wreckage? Yeah. So that was really cool, I thought. I think my favorite challenge, and this is one I almost wish they would do every season, not every season, but like most seasons, is the one where they wear the backpacks and they run around the course. And in the water. Yeah, the 20-pound backpacks, and if you drop out, you have to give another teammate your backpack. It's like a real. I think it's a really interesting challenge. We've seen that in one other scene. It's definitely in a few other seasons, but I don't think they've done it. So currently, as of the time we're recording this, Winners at War's last season that's aired. 41 hasn't happened yet, so if it gets brought back, then I'm gonna sound dumb, but it hasn't been seen since season 26. Caramello, so it's been quite a while, so far as I know. So unless I'm like forgetting somewhere in between, when we get to Caramello one day, it's pretty funny, this challenge for that season. But it's not in a way that like ruins the challenge. So I don't know why they haven't brought it back. It's actually a really good challenge. So. Anyways, yeah, so I agree. The challenges this season were really good. So yeah, overall, I think they did really well with the theme. The final challenge with with the buoy, the tribal. No, Ian, yes, no, Tom. I know. I'm just also adding tribal council. Yeah, all the set and decorations and stuff. I know. Mm-hmm. So I recently just made a video called Secrets of Cagayan, and did I tell you how long it takes them to build a tribal council set? I think you did, but I forgot. Oh, take a guess. How many weeks? It's like 6 weeks or something. Yeah, pretty close. It's 7 weeks is what they said for the Cagayan set. And based on like the complexity, now the early seasons, like I'd say Australian Outback, Borneo, like they probably didn't take nearly as much time. Mm-hmm. But I think once we get to, like Africa, they had built huts. Marquesas, they had to do like last second because their location switched. So I don't know. They probably didn't have 7 weeks to build that one. Thailand was pretty cool. Like I believe it if it took them that long. Amazon, I'm trying to remember Amazon didn't have a memorable tribal council set from my recollection. But anyways, point being is that I would say that's probably normal. But if you told me 5 to 7 weeks every season, I believe you. Mm-hmm. Even in modern seasons, because when they did David versus Goliath and Edge of Extinction, they had 2 different locations for 2 different tribal councils because those seasons were shot like within 2 weeks of each other. There's no way they had time to take down one and build another in 2 weeks. So anyways, just for reference. So yeah, it takes them 7 weeks to build it, and I agree with you. The tribal council set, like there's like the anti-air gun behind Jeff. Is that when he's standing? Anyways, it's back there on the set. Yeah, it's like a huge gun. Holy cow! How did they get it there? I mean, I can. They got it there, but it's just like that's a huge thing to be like, oh, we're gonna put this on our set. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, it was. And then like even when they voted, they put their votes into an ammo box. Mm-hmm. By the way, when I was in the Navy, I asked to take an ammo box, and they said no. And I'm like, what are we going to do with it? They're like, throw it away. And I'm like, but on Survivor, they used it to put vote. But on Survivor, you let them have one. No, I think they're just being jerks, honestly. But anyways, that would be par for the course for who I was with. Bunch of cops. Who was with you? A bunch of cops. They had a deal with you. They never let me take any ammo boxes. Police hold me down, man. Cops keep me down, you know. Yeah, the man holds me down. Uh-huh. All right. Okay. So anyways, that's the World War theme. They also ate MREs.
They did at one point.
A couple of times.
They kind
or
of,
maybe once.
I think it was just once. It was like part of the reward when Kuror just couldn't lose anything except for Pringles. Kuror's like, oh no, we didn't get the Pringles challenge. Oh man. Anyways, so let's talk about Oolong.
Okay.
Oolong. What? So you didn't know going into the season that Oolong was going to Oolong themselves. Right. At what point? At which person did you realize? Oh crap! They're probably going to let them ride this out till they all die.
Honestly,
was it like every episode you really kept going like, no way?
Right. I really think when it was down to like the 4 of them.
So when it was
James, Ibrahim, Bobby, and Stephenie.
James, Ibrahim, Bobby, and Stephenie, and then James gets voted out, and you're like,
and there's still just 3 of them, and
they're not merging
they're going
them
to trial. Yeah, I was very confused with what they were going to do with 2 because I assumed at 2 they would just merge, but you know, I kept expecting them to switch
or
up
at least
the
tribe
tribes,
swap,
do a tribe swap. Something like that until I think it was when they were down to 4. I was like, okay, they're just really gonna just let this go.
I could believe I'm sure there was a merge planned earlier. I could believe there's no tribe. I could believe that there was no tribe swap planned, because in All Stars they didn't do tribe swap till like day 24, and then they merged on day 26. You know, like, and then Vanuatu they had tribe swap. Pearl Islands, I don't think they ever had a tribe swap. No.
Not that I remember.
Nope. See, so Amazon, they had tribe swaps. So it's not like tribe swaps were an every season thing. They didn't. Sometimes they just didn't happen. Thailand didn't have one, for example. So, anyways,
I really assume they just planned that as needed. So I'm saying
that. Well, yeah, and they probably did, but I want to say that they didn't. It's possible. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that there was no tribe swap planned. However, the fact that we got past Ibrahim's vote on day 19 and there was no merge, that was unusual because Thailand, it was like the twist. It was like, oh, you're living on one beach together, but you're not merged. It was like a one world situation for 2 episodes. But that was like on day 19 is when they put them on the same beach. And then all year season's been like day 19, maybe day 20 where they've merged. And then here we are on All Stars and I'm sorry, All Stars, they like merged in day 26, but I'm like, to me that's like different because it's like this is an all returnee season. And they're trying to make things quote unquote tougher, and I think it hurts the season. But yeah, and then here, I don't know, they don't actually they get together day 22, which I guess is only 3 days after when a merge normally happens in these early seasons. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'll believe it that they were like, let's just ride this out to the end, obviously.
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, it was hard to watch, but at the same time, you couldn't not watch. It's like, will they finally win tonight? No. Yeah.
And when it gets down to just Bobby, John, and Stephenie, you're like, come on. Like,
right.
What? Kuror's over there with like 9 people. Like it's not, Jeff got to the point, he's like, don't even tell me who you're sitting out. Just tell me who's going to do the challenge. Because it would be more work to tell me who's going to sit out. And then they do like, it's like Bobby, John, Stephenie, and they do like the gross food eating challenge where they eat the, remember what it was?
Yes.
What was it?
Oh my gosh, that was like the worst thing ever.
What was it?
I forget what it's called, but it was like,
I think it's like galoot. I want to look it up now.
Balut.
Yeah, yes. Balut. There you go. and it gets down to the tiebreaker between Bobby, John, and Tom. And I think this is like perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with Oolong and why Kuror won. And it's like Bobby John stuffs all 5 baloots in his mouth at once.
Yeah.
And Tom's like, I'll just eat these one at a time, the smart way.
Right.
And Bobby John's just trying to like, this is just Bobby John challenge though. He's like, I probably peaked like crazy. Sorry. Hopefully I didn't peak, but he's just like crazy during challenges. And then in interviews and at camp, he's like, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? Oh, yeah, I'm a very nice country boy. And then challenges is like, so he's like trying to all the okay, I'll stop. All the baloots, but then Tom's just like casually eating one after another, and Tom the whole time is like making little comments like, "Ooh, I felt a beak on that one." He's like trying to psych out Bobby John, which I'm not sure is possible to do during a challenge. Since you want me to do it again, Bobby John's like, "Oh, okay." During challenge, he's a little crazy. By the way, I don't want to talk. I'm not gonna like spoil Guatemala, but Bobby John is crazy during challenges in Guatemala too.
Well, yeah, it's his personality.
Yeah, but there's okay. You'll see. Anyways, so that's just Bobby John is just.
I liked Bobby John.
I like Bobby John, but like I think upon first watch, like he's kind of boring until you realize like There's like a split personality between challenges and camp.
It's not a split personality.
You know what I mean? Like his intensity goes from 0 to 100 from camp life to challenges. So anyways.
Do you want to talk about the cast in order?
No. We used to do that, remember? Yeah. And I don't think that's fun. So if there's anyone in particular you want to talk about, for sure. But let's talk about anyone. Let's talk about the people who are on Oolong. If you're gonna talk about anyone first, so we already kind of talked about Bobby John. What do you think of Bobby John and Stephenie? Since you already know they're gonna come back for Guatemala, because I could not tell you. I had to tell you.
Mm-hmm. I love both Bobby John and Stephenie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were the best parts of Ulong. Like they were the ones that were actually playing the game. They were working hard. They had really good attitudes the whole time. They didn't have drama with anybody except for with each other at the end a little bit. But
I mean Bobby John's over there shooting snot rockets, and
yeah.
Stephenie's like, I can never fall in love with this man.
Yeah, basically.
This man is not my type.
I feel like Stephenie was playing the game more than Bobby John as far as like strategy, because she was always trying to, when it was down to just the three of them, she was making a deal with Bobby John, but Bobby John wasn't really like saying yes or no. So then she tries to make a deal with Ibrahim. Like she is really working hard.
You know what's weird about Oolong is that we watched the whole thing and I'm like, did everyone here never watch Survivor before? And the reason I say that is because it seemed like nobody had an alliance with anyone. Like there's no like, we're like Vanuatu. It was like so clear. The older men and the younger men were separated, and the older men were 5, and the younger men were 4, and they picked off all the younger men one after another until it was just the older men. Like clear alliances. Same thing with the women, except for the women were a little bit more fluid, but they had alliances. Like we knew who was aligned with who. Like Amy was with Leanne, Scout was with Twyla. In Oolong, it was like, who is with who? Like I have now rewatched Palau twice in the past like 6 months. At least all of Oolong's stuff, and who is aligned with who? Like till the very end, like who is aligned with who?
Right.
Like everyone.
Well, Stephenie was aligned with James.
Was she?
Yeah, I really think she was.
I mean, for like what, an episode? Like I know everyone pretty much votes all together.
They vote all together.
Basically, if I'm looking
one
at
of the
voting
main
history.
The main problems of Oolong is they didn't really know how to play the game, I guess. But we know that they did watch it. Well, I know that Stephenie watched it because she was the one answering all the Pringle questions.
That's true. Fair.
And a bunch of them were answering them correctly.
You know what? Did they show anyone else answering Pringle questions?
I think correctly? A couple of other ones were answering, yeah.
You know, all the questions were like about Rupert, and Rupert was like uber popular. By the way, I know I've told you this off the podcast, but for everyone on the podcast, Stephenie after Palau, I think CBS did some sort of poll, and that's how they figured it out. But Stephenie was more popular than Rupert for at least this season. I think that's why they brought her and Bobby John back immediately. Like, yeah, we got to capitalize on this. So I'm gonna look at the voting. So here's Oolong's voting: 6-3 Jolanda, so not all together. Ashley 6-1 to 1. I'd say it's kind of all together. Mm-hmm. Jeff 4-2 to 1. That was a conflicted vote. But then Kim voted out 5-1. Angie, there was a tie 2-2 to 1, and then when they revoted, Angie went out 3-0. James, there was a tie 2-2, and then he gets voted out 2-0. Ibrahim 2-1. I mean, so I was wrong. Like they didn't really. It wasn't like a block. There was people like.
People didn't really talk about.
Like they just didn't show it to us, or maybe people were like doing it when the cameras weren't looking. I don't understand. Like it didn't seem like it was.
I could really see them not having any sort of strategy and people just voting for whoever they want.
I don't believe that.
Well,
I've seen that on Borneo,
we saw them talking and talking, but they never really. It felt like people still just voted for whoever they wanted, anyways. Yeah,
maybe this wasn't
because there was no strong alliances and there was no.
They were doing voting blocks way ahead of Cambodia.
I don't know.
I know you haven't seen Cambodia yet. We'll get there. Yeah. So
but that was the main problem with this tribe is they were never a unit. They never worked together. They never got along together. There was never a leader.
Perfectly exemplified when Jolanda gets voted out and they're like, we don't need a leader. This is America and we're going to do democracy. I don't like James that much, but I like that line from him because it's like,
every time James was on TV, you loved it.
No, I just liked how much James annoyed you. That was probably my favorite part, seeing how annoyed you got by James.
He was so annoying.
I think James has an occasional good line here and there, but he's like I hate how he like feeds the stereotype of how people perceive Southerners, which is unfortunate because there's also Bobby John and Ibrahim are both from Alabama as well. By the way, a lot of Alabama people in one, not on one tribe, but in one season, 3 of them.
Yeah, they were in one tribe.
Yeah, I know, but not only in one tribe, but in one.
Not only.
Like the fact that they even cast 3 Alabama people is a little surprising. But yeah, they got so Bobby John and Ibrahim, are from Alabama as well. But James is like the stereotype, unfortunately. So I'm not a huge fan of James, but James did have an occasional funny line here and there. He's like, I'm gonna make this what was it? You can't undo this knot because you pull on it, it just gets tighter. And then that wasn't like a big problem for Koror. Just like everything James did like hurt the tribe.
Yes.
Like I feel like I was like, okay, what went wrong? Obviously they don't have a leader. I've seen when they do the Home Depot challenge and it's like, Jeff, can we ask questions? And he's like, you don't have a leader? And Jeff's like, hello, darkness, my old friend. He just like, oh, sorry. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's me, Wanda. Anyways, so yeah, but I'm like, who is like constantly screwing this tribe up? And like, everyone has their moment, but it's like James consistently every single time he does anything is not good. He's not good at any challenge. He is just like, he just hurts the tribe. And when they vote him out, I was like legit thinking like, okay, James is gone. Maybe something good will happen.
Yeah, I did too.
But even just the 3 of them, I don't know.
Still
I don't know.
Yeah,
the fact is that.
Well, at that point,
I don't know if leadership was the problem or if it's just morale. I mean.
Yeah, that was gonna say. At that point, I feel like it's just a mentality of like we just can't win.
Yeah, and Koror walks in there, and Koror, man, good on them because they, in Pearl Islands, we saw like I forget the name. There's Drake and Morgan. I think Drake was the Sandra tribe. I want to say
sounds right.
Sandra for Johnny Fairplay and Rupert. They got like 3 wins in a row, and they're like, all right, time to throw one. We've been winning way too much. And Koror, man, wins doesn't ever have to go to tribal council because of their own fault, only because that one time because of that twist where it's like we're both going. By the way, the moment Jeff says that, I'd be like, okay, why do I want to win this challenge? Apparently for beef stew, but it's like, I don't know. That would be like heart wrenching to me if I was an Oolong member. So anyways, yeah, Koror never goes to tribal council because they're own fault. So the only time they vote somebody out, it's like the old man on their tribe, Willard, who looks like the immunity idol, as they pointed out. But anyways, what was I getting at with this?
I don't know.
Wow, I'm so sorry to everyone listening. I had somewhere, and then I got caught up in the immunity idol.
You're talking about leadership.
Oh,
no, you're talking about throwing the challenge.
Yeah. I want to give Koror props for never throwing a challenge, even though I'm sure they were getting sick of each other. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know if somebody was like, or if they all just agreed or what happened. But it's good on them to not throw a challenge because, any other season they probably would have thrown a challenge.
Yeah.
Like I'm so tired of insert person here, Karen, Coby, whoever. We're throwing this challenge and to get rid of them, but they didn't do it. They held it, and I think that makes it even better for the, I can't imagine on a rewatch though, because when we rewatch this, I was like, all right, I knew Oolong's going to get eliminated, and it's not even going to be like, it's just not fun to watch. Yeah. The first time, I think this is a better season with a first time watch with like, you don't know what's going to happen because Oolong getting Oolonged is so interesting, but on a rewatch, it wasn't.
It's kind of just depressing, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. I'm like, okay, it's like a tale of 2 seasons. Like once Oolong's gone and Steph goes to Koror, it's like, okay, now the season really starts.
It was really good after that.
I think the first half season when Oolong gets Oolonged is like, like if it's your first time, it's probably super interesting, but upon a rewatch, like 4 out of 10. But once Steph gets to Koror, it's like everything heats up, like it gets really spicy. And I want to say like a solid 8.5, 9 out of 10 on the second half of the season because I was like so caught up in like everybody's emotions and like Ian breaking down and ruining everything.
Poor Ian.
I know, poor
I
Ian.
really would want to see him play again.
Yeah, well, heads up, he doesn't.
I know, you told me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I would want to see an older Ian.
Yeah. No, people agree with you though. It's a common though. Like, I wish Ian would come back to play. Yeah. I heard a recent interview with him though, and it doesn't seem like he keeps up or really
cares.
Cares, maybe not the right word, but yeah, I think like really cares about Survivor, and like, I don't think he like thinks to himself, oh, now I'm older, let me go back on Survivor. I'll be smarter and wiser and play a more strategic game. I think he just thinks to himself,
I had fun that one time.
I had fun that one time I was on Survivor. Yeah. More like that, and less like, man, I'd be a strategic force if I came back. So,
right.
Yeah. Exile Island gets invented here. And so Steph is the last remaining member of Oolong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like because of her, the show's producers were like, what if we did this thing where Steph's all by herself, which took up like, I don't know, 5 minutes of an episode once.
We didn't even talk about the fire challenge, but yes.
Sorry, we'll get there. I wrote it down. Apparently I wrote it after. Let's do Exile Island first. But yes, okay. You're right. We'll talk about fire. Don't worry. Because it happens twice. So Exile Island like shows up 2 episodes after Stephenie gets put on Koror and was living by herself. And
yeah, I thought that was strange too, because even after Bobby John goes out, Stephenie is like, okay, do I get to go to the new tribe? And nope, you have to go back to your
camp. And Jeff's like, ha,
by yourself. That had to have been so terrible.
Jeff's just so evil. I didn't have a song for that one. So anyways, Exile Island gets invented, and Jeff's like, all right, guys, we're doing the challenge where you put your faces underneath a grate and the water's going to rise on you, and whoever is the last person remaining wins. Whoever can, I guess, breathe the long, not get freaked out by the water rising on them. So anyways, Janu like drops out within like the first 5 minutes.
I don't even think it was 5 minutes.
I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes.
Maybe.
I could be wrong. But anyways, point is super quick into the challenge in comparison to everyone else. And everyone's laughing at her. And Jeff's like, what are you all laughing at her for? And they're like, oh, we're not laughing at her. And he's like, Jeff's like fed up a little bit with people. He's like, yeah, you are. He's like, how am I supposed to take what you're doing right now? And they're all like, oh, okay. Sorry, Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was good on him, actually.
Yeah, good on Jeff. No, I'm just saying, like, it looks like he's fed up with this season, but like at the same time, he doesn't understand like how good of a season. It gets like Jeff in the moment doesn't realize how good of a season this is. They probably all thought...
I think it just made it better for him to get on to them because they needed it.
No. I'm just saying like Jeff's attitude all season.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Seems like he's like not happy with them. Like, I don't know why. He's like, you're not Boston Rob and Amber.
I don't know.
I miss Boston Rob. I joke, but at the same time, maybe. Or he's like, or really, it's just like he has spent 39 days away from Julie Berry.
Or both.
Maybe she was there. No, because if Anna Watsu hadn't aired yet, I don't think they would have allowed that. No, he's just away from Julie Berry. Sorry. Very sad. Yeah, Exile Island. So Janu gets sent there, and she's like, I love it here. She's like, basically like, I hate Koror, and I love being by myself. I don't know why I'm using that accent for Janu. It's not how she sounds.
No.
But yeah, what did you think of the first implementation of Exile Island? It was clearly thrown together at the last minute.
It was interesting. I didn't see the need for it, but honestly, it worked out really well because it was an interesting like character arc for Janu, I thought. Because this whole time I didn't really care at all about her, and she just seemed really wimpy. And she
was like in the perfect tribe, and she was constantly like, woe is me.
Right. Yeah. She was just depressed the whole time and just laid around, and she didn't even do, I don't think she did like any of the challenges hardly. But I guess that would be really boring. You're just like sitting around with nothing to do, nothing to eat. And no, I don't feel like she was really excited about the wins because she wasn't a part of any of them, really.
I don't remember when this was. I think it was after they had already merged, but there was like an individual reward challenge where like I think 4 of them got to go, and she like went and she ate food and she puked.
Oh yeah.
And Karen also ate food, but then they get back and they bring food back to the tribe, and then like her and Karen then eat the food they brought back to the tribe, and it's like, dude, you just got to eat. And I don't know, like I kind of get like you puked it up, so maybe it doesn't feel like you ate anything. It just, everyone clearly is like, what a jerk. Everyone doesn't like Janu.
Yeah, and that was the thing too. She didn't get along with anyone, and they clearly made fun of her for a lot of things. So
Koror is kind of like a high school clique, man.
It really was.
Yeah.
With Katie.
Unreported story, I feel like, or underreported story maybe. Yeah, so Exile Island, just like not impressive at all. Like I know this is the first implementation of it, and when they bring it back, I don't think it's in Guatemala. I want to say it's literally not brought back till season 12 Exile Island. Probably, obviously.
Well, usually also in later seasons, it's like you get picked to go to Exile or chosen. You know what I mean? It's not like because you lost or the first one out of the challenge.
Well.
Which is part of like the social game.
They do it in different ways in other seasons, but yeah. You'll see. Like season 12, the very first time somebody has to be on Exile is because, actually I think you're right, it's because the tribe chooses them to be there. So I think you're right, yeah. But anyways, so the season 12 actual Exile Island season, they have like a whole like huge skull built on it and like a tower. It's like a thing. It's like a thing. And here it's like, it was clearly like, okay,
They just dropped her off on a beach.
Do we have an extra beach somewhere we can just drop her off at? Yeah. So anyways, yeah, it's I think it's more like it affects Survivor in the long term, but like here it's kind of like a thing that happened, and like if you don't think about it, you'd almost forget it happened. But I think what we can't forget happened is what you mentioned earlier, is the fire making. The fire making tiebreaker is invented this season. Once again, like I think everyone remembers that. In this case, Steph and Bobby John had one, but I forgot that Ian and Jen did a fire-making tiebreaker at the Final Four.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because, even you almost forgot. Because Tom voted for Ian and it ended up being a tie. So, but let's talk about the first implementation. The very first time they do it, Steph and Bobby John, and they have to, like, make a fire that lights a torch. And I kind of like the idea because I feel like, well, first off, what do you think? And I'll tell you what I think. What did you think about the tiebreaker?
I thought it was good. I felt bad for Bobby John because, well, so Stephenie's like, oh crap, this is not good because I never make the fire. Bobby John always makes the fire. But Bobby John is thinking, I'm going to make a fire, like a good fire. You know, I have a base and
like a bonfire.
Right. And Stephenie's like, get the biggest flame that you can possibly get as fast as
quick
possible.
as possible. Yeah.
Right. Which is how you should do these type of challenges, I guess. Especially
no, I
when
think
you
it's
have,
just this one.
well, because they had matches.
Well, no. Okay. So what I mean is like, all right. So in this version of the fire making challenge, it was just light the torch, and the torch apparently just needs like like a spark to get going because it was like just that quick. It seemed like the challenge didn't last very long.
No.
So Stephenie like builds like the quickest fire possible to light the torch because the torch is like kind of low and it's easily lightable. It's lightable. It's easily lit is the word. Like all the kids are talking about today, getting lit.
Oh my god!
I know. You're feeling old when you start doing bad jokes like that. But then when Ian and Jen do it, and this is how we're gonna see it basically from here on out, is you have to build a fire and it has to burn through a rope. And I feel like the burning through the rope is a sustained fire. Also, I feel like it needs to get higher too. But it's like a sustained fire because we'll see in later seasons where like the fire's like hitting the rope, but it's not burning through it yet.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like here it was the opposite. It's like the fire didn't have to be very high. It just had to be like just quick enough to light the torch, not long, not like built long. So Bobby John's almost like doing the fire making challenge, probably the way it should have been. But nope, Stephenie did it and she won. And I, props to her. Like what else? Like she did it right for this challenge. Like I'm not blaming her at all. It's just clearly like Survivor production must have saw this and be like, okay, next time we do this, we have to do this better. Because in the same season they did it better.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like the fact that it was Stephenie that won, I guess. I don't know. I liked both of them, but I like the fact that Stephenie was like, oh, I'm not going to win this. And I don't know.
Yeah, Stephenie had like all those inspirational, like, like I'm here to, she's like, she gives so much like, she's like, I got heart. I'm going to do this. I forget any Stephenie quotes. I'm just kind of the vibe of Stephenie was, she's just like, I'm going to survive, basically. I'm going to be, even if I'm all by myself.
Yeah.
And then she gets to Karor, and they do their first immunity challenge, and she drops her pizza. And I'm like, what?
I know. That was...
Stephenie! She's like, I'm going to survive. I'm going to do everything I can to win, unless there's pizza. Then I'm dropping. The game's on the line. I know.
Didn't Tom tell her she was safe because they'd had that first day alliance?
She shouldn't be believing anybody. I know, on Karor.
But she also has like not eaten.
Stephenie should be winning every single. They just had the merge feast.
Yes.
Or the not merge feast.
There was no merge feast.
Yes, there was. It was when the people came and taught them how to catch fish.
Sure. Okay.
I'm saying she
probably had food.
It wasn't
she
like
definitely shouldn't have.
It wasn't like they all went to the challenge and like, okay, Stephenie, now you're done with Oolong. You're on Karor, and sure, at that point she wouldn't have eaten. But I don't know. I'm just for all the heart she said she had, all of a sudden
she has a weakness for pizza.
Pizza was her kryptonite apparently.
But she didn't even go out that vote though.
That's okay. Yeah, no, it ends up working out, but it's almost like it kind of like hurts her story a little bit because like she just talked like if she had stayed up there to the point where someone cuts a deal with her, maybe like Tom's like, hey, you let me win, I'll make sure you don't go or something like that. It would be like, okay, like she really did like do this to survive, but it was more like, okay, pizza, you got 5 seconds, she jumps. So anyways, so yeah, Stephenie, man, Janu quitting. If it really, here's how it goes. It goes, Coby gets voted out. I feel like because they were all like just done with Coby.
They're done with Coby.
And
that's Coby's bad because he was not a good social player.
Coby, like his last 2 episodes, like he went from like sassy. I don't know if that's the right word, to like full on villain kind of for Karor. I think he was fed up with them. I think they got fed up with him. So that vote, they got rid of Coby, and then the next vote, Stephenie's supposed to go. Like she basically got one tribal, and then they're like, all right, Tom's like, I know I made a deal with you, Stephenie. And by the way, unlike Chris, Tom is also being cutthroat, but like he's way more like, it's polite. Polite's not the word.
Sure.
He's way more like honorable, I guess, quote unquote honorable. Then but like Chris is like, I'm gonna burn them all, and like every step of the way is like lying to people, manipulating them. He's like, Julie, you've done nothing wrong to me, you've treated me nothing but nice since the merge. And it's like a complete lie. Julie's the reason that they fall apart. And then the moment he gets Julie, like the next day at camp, he's like, yeah, Julie had it coming. You get like this show from Chris, and then Tom's just like kind of playing like the same cutthroat kind of game, but he does not make it into a show, which is probably better in terms of pleasing the jury, because I feel like Chris had a lot, even though he puts on probably the best Final Tribal performance I've ever seen, has to do a lot more work at Final Tribal to turn people back on his side, whereas Tom at Final Tribal, I feel like had to do that because he wasn't like making a show of his anyways, he's playing so cutthroat here because he has an alliance with Steph, but like I think Greg and Jen wanted her gone. And he also had a 5-person alliance with Greg and Jen. It was like him, Ian, Katie, Greg, and Jen. And like, I guess that took precedence over him.
Well, yeah, it takes precedence over a day one alliance.
Yeah, well, exactly. An alliance he had spent 2 days with Stephenie. Though Coby on Twitter claims that the tribe picking was on day 3. I'm not sure which one to believe, whether it was day 2 or day 3.
I mean, they spent 2 days together, and then
I'm just saying, like, interesting that the show would say day 2. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you whether you want to believe Survivor or Coby, I guess in this case, whether it's day 2 or 3. But regardless, regardless doesn't really affect what we're talking about now. But I just want to bring that up because I meant to bring it up. So Tom, they're so cutthroat. He's like, all right, we're gonna get rid of Stephenie, but Janu quits. Kind of like Janu wanted to quit, but it's like almost like she didn't know she had permission to do it. And Jeff's like, so do you? He doesn't. I don't think he ever says, so Janu, do you want to quit? Or maybe he does. Remember the whole Janu quit?
Yeah, it was basically you and Enu. Are you laying down your chores? I don't know. He said it
because Janu wasn't being direct about. Janu's like, I think I've done everything I need to do here in the game. Like she was like saying that she was ready to be voted out. I think.
I think she just wanted to be voted out.
But nobody was going to vote her out. Yeah. Like they wanted to vote Steph, and good on them. I wouldn't vote out the person who wants to quit. That's the person I want to drag to the end. Well, or maybe to like almost to the end because. I don't know. People might get mad if you bring her to the end. They're like, why'd you bring Janu to the end over me? It's kind of a balancing act, but yeah, Janu's like, no, so she quits instead. And Steph gets to stay one more time because Steph's like, I can't believe that they're gonna vote out me and keep Janu. Janu doesn't even want to be here. I want to be here so bad. I want to eat all the pizzas at Reward and immunity challenges. And so sorry, it's all the Survivor drugs I've been doing.
No, I mean, it's always sad to see somebody quit Survivor, but I don't know. Like, Janu just was not handling it well, and I was glad to see Stephenie for one more episode because she's awesome. Yeah, I know.
What I'm trying to say is that Janu quits and it like kind of postpones, but like the next episode, like Stephenie still has to win individual immunity to stay, and she just doesn't do it ever. Tom actually, I think,
Tom is like
Tom and Ian like win all of them. Tom wins 5, and Ian wins whatever was not the 5 that Tom won, basically. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Stephenie gets voted out after Janu's quit,
Oolong.
And that's Oolong. Yeah. So I want to ask, what you having been you're unspoiled on Guatemala in terms of how Stephenie and Bobby John do. You do know the winner. Do you? Okay.
I don't remember who the winner is.
Okay, well,
I'll remember once I watch and see them.
You'll recognize who it is because you should have saw them on Winners at War.
Sure.
Well, you'll see them and be like, well, where do I know them from?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. We'll see. Anyways, it's not Stephenie or Bobby John. I think you already knew that. Yeah. So, anyways, how do you think Bobby John does on Guatemala? And I mean, in terms of like, what placement do you think he gets? Considering I think there are 18 people in Guatemala. What place does he get?
Well, returning players never do well, so I don't think they make the merge.
That's not true. Boston Rob won his season. He was returning.
Okay. Unless you're Boston Rob.
Coach got second.
or coach.
I just want you to consider the possibility that not you're right, in modern Survivor, returning players on these newbie seasons seem to be getting killed, but
I would say both Bobby John and Stephenie don't make it 1 or 2 votes past the merge.
So they get to the merge and they're voted out immediately.
That's what I think.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see next season how far they each get. Question: do you think either of them has their tribe get Oolonged?
I would sure hope not. If that happened, then they would get voted off because it would be bad luck or something.
Stephenie, you're bad juju. We're voting you off. You're Oolonging the tribe again. How dare you?
They're not on the same tribe, though, are they?
No, they don't start on the same tribe. It's like, they don't start on the same tribe. So, anyways, that is Stephenie and Bobby John. Booby John, I almost said. Yeah, Stephenie and Booby John. So let's now that's like the first season is Oolonging themselves, never winning anything except for I think 2 rewards, and just constantly being just less than Karor. So we talked about the Exile Island fire making. Okay, so now I think we can really talk about the end game here and honestly the final 3, because Ian, Katie, and Tom are an interesting final 3 with a lot of like what happened. So let's do Ian first. Ian plays such a good game, and I have not gone and like analyzed exactly when it happens, but at some point Ian's game turns from he could possibly win if only he gets rid of Tom to Ian's annoying everybody. Ian's doing everything wrong. Like Ian becomes, not the monkey's paw, but whatever it's called, when like something can go wrong, it does go wrong. That's Ian. Like he just like fails at everything.
I think Ian. Well, he started.
I want to say starts the car choice when he picks Tom.
Well, yes.
I want to say it starts there. I don't know for a fact. That's the exact point.
Maybe that's the first thing we see.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's probably stuff going on in the background.
Sure.
But no, I think Ian was he was really great for TV because he's funny.
Oh,
he's
I like
sweet.
Ian.
Yeah. He did seem to be smart, but I think honestly he probably wasn't. He was just following Tom.
What? No, Ian is definitely smart.
Nah.
Trust me.
Okay, but when Katie came to him like that one time where they had the
let's circle back. Do you mean smart in Survivor or smart as a person? Because I think he's smart as a person.
No, he's smart as a person.
Oh, okay.
Just strategy.
Well, you just IR.
He lets I feel like he let his heart lead him for a long time, and then he tried to flip and not let his heart lead him, and it was worse. So, for example, like there was one time where if he and Katie and Greg and Jen had all voted together, they would have got Tom off, which was a smart strategic thing to do. But Ian said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he goes and tells Tom, Greg wants you out. So, and that's when we get the whole...
And then he like tells Katie like very last second. I don't know if that was the Greg vote.
Yes.
But it was like Katie the very last second, like, hey, we're voting
Greg,
yeah.
And he did it in a way that was condescending. Tom and Ian
and
both...
Tom's like, hey, Karen, put on your best performance. Act like you're going home. And Karen's like, okay, I'll be myself.
No, she did a good job.
Okay. I mean, she did do a good job. I just don't think it was like a huge stretch for... Anyways, so not trying to trash on Karen too hard. I just like some of these characters in Karor, I'm like, you guys, if this was a normal season, you would have been picked off in the pre-merge. Like Karen.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yes. Probably Karen for
Karen
sure.
would have been picked off pre-merge.
But Ian...
No, Ian.
Back to great. Ian. Yes, he was great, but he couldn't. I feel like he just did whatever Tom wanted him to do, or whatever Katie wanted to do, and then when he tried to step out on his own and do his own thing, he just wrecked it. He ruined both of his relationships. So,
yeah, I agree. I think Ian. I don't know what day it was, but whatever. I think it really is when he makes that car choice. Like that's the beginning of the downfall of this game, because up to that point it was like a nearly flawless game, and of course helps that they win every challenge pre-merge. But even like through like half of the merge, he's still doing golden.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I'm going to take Katie. If there's any reward at all, I'm going to take Katie with. And then he picks Tom. And I'm surprised Tom was like, oh yeah, I think I'll sit this reward out, Jeff. Let Ian pick somebody else.
Yeah, because Tom was like, do not pick me for the reward.
They show this conversation before the challenge, and you're just like, oh no, I'm about to... This is the slow train... This is the slow train wreck. It's going to happen, because why else would they be showing this conversation unless he picks Tom, or Tom picks him? But that seemed less likely.
Right.
And no, sure enough, and then Katie gets upset, of course, and it's just like a series of bad decisions, like constantly. Like they come back to camp, and everyone else, of course, has been talking. And Karen's like, hey, have you said X, Y, and Z? And Ian's like, well, X, Y, and Z? No. And it's like the way he's like, no, Ian, like you're giving everything away. Tom's like, it's like Ian's messing up. Tom's covering his butt like constantly, basically.
Yeah.
And
then when Tom confronts him, Ian still lies.
Yep. To Tom.
Yep. And it was messy.
I think it's so interesting though, is that Ian's doing all these things. And like, I don't think he really fully realizes like the hole he's dug himself into. He's trying to dig himself out, but he's just digging it deeper.
Yeah.
And that's why when you get to the final 3 challenge and it's like, yes, it's a terrible Survivor decision for him to drop from that challenge. Obviously, like, there's no rationale for a strategic decision, but it wasn't a strategic decision. Ian cared less about. I don't think Ian wanted to go to the final 2 and then go against Tom, number 1. I mean, so if he went against Katie and he wins, everyone's gonna be like, Ian won, yeah, but he's a snake. I think it's how he's gonna think it was gonna happen, and maybe it's how it would have happened. Or if he goes with Tom and then Tom likely still wins, Ian's gonna get torn to shreds by the jury, and then Tom's gonna like kick him while he's down at Final Tribal.
Yeah.
I think Ian truly, and this is why we say he's smart. He's a smart guy, but like maybe not as good a survivor as his placement shows. Because what do you think about the decision for him to drop? I guess
I like the decision, even though when it happened, I was like, "What, Ian? What are you doing? This is dumb." At the same time, I do value that he puts more value on relationships than he does on the money. And I think that was really important. And so I respected it. I thought it was cool.
I think Tom played him like a fiddle. I think Tom respected him regardless.
No, I don't think so.
I think he did. I think he did. I think Tom was manipulating the crap out of Ian. And by the way, good on Tom. I am not condemning Tom at all here. You're in the game of Survivor. You do need to get to the final and win. That's the whole point of the game. There are moral lines, but I think in this case, this is all fair game. Like nothing here is. I think we've reached outside of moral lines in Survivor. But no, I think he's manipulating Ian. I think he's been kicking Ian. So they get to the final 4 and he votes for Ian. Tom knows, by the way, when he votes for Ian, it's going to be a tie, and he knows that the likelihood of being of a rock draw at final 4 is highly unlikely, because even in season 9, the last season we just watched, Chris explains how a tiebreaker would work, which means that somebody on the show told him, because how else would Chris know exactly how the tiebreaker works when there hasn't been a final 4 tiebreaker since the rock draw? Chris is like, I think it means X, so either they explained it to everyone before the season started. My point is that Tom knows there's not gonna be a rock draw, so he knows he's fine. Plus, I think he has the immunity necklace. But regardless, he knows he's fine. So he votes for Ian, knowing for a fact there's gonna be a tiebreaker. There's gonna be some sort of tiebreaker, whether it's fire making or whatnot. So he knows that. He's just manipulating. He's manipulating Ian, probably knowing Ian will survive that too, by the way, because he's up against Jen. And while Jen's a nice girl, I don't think we ever saw anything of Jen where she's like, I don't know, a challenge mastermind. Tom just votes for Ian because he knows it's gonna like make Ian feel something, is my opinion. So he gets the final 3 and they're up there, and Tom doesn't talk to Ian. They don't really try to cut. Katie drops, and they're just, as Jeff says, like nobody's talked for like 4 hours. By the way, sucks to be Jeff. Sucks to be everyone. Everyone's just like recording this challenge where nobody's talking, just sitting on a buoy for hours and hours and hours. And I think Tom expertly manipulates Ian, and Ian drops to earn Tom's respect back. But I don't think Ian ever lost Tom's respect. That's my personal opinion. I don't think he ever lost his respect. I think if the game ends, Tom respects Ian and they're friends. Even if Ian goes the final 2. I think Ian did it because it made him feel good. And in the moment, I'm sure it was, but I think Tom was manipulating Ian. I really do.
Well, you have your rights to your own
no, it's just my opinion now. I'm not saying this is facts. I'm not Tom.
You're probably right. It makes sense, but I just didn't really get that from Tom. I
Sure.
feel like he really was the type of person that like his word was his word, and
I feel like there's a lot of situations in the show where Tom like is clearly trying to manipulate people, but like in a way more subtle way than Chris did. Like Chris was like very like open about it, and Tom's like doing little subtle things. Like the perfect example is like during that challenge with Bobby John, where he's like, oh, I felt some beak there, like little stuff like that. Like
that's obvious. That's not.
I know. My point is that I think he's doing it, and he's doing it in such a way where it's like, if you're just watching the show casually, you're not going to catch it. But I think when I go back and I do Tom's story, I'm going to find a bunch of instances of Tom manipulating. But it's not uber blatant. And I could be wrong. And if I am, I'll eat crow, or, be the cat who swallowed the canary, as Rory said.
Are you going to eat Baloo?
Oh, no. I would try not to do that. But no, I think, by the way, great on Tom. I understand Ian's decision. I think Ian's decision is another example, kind of like Coby picking Tina over Keith, of like, what is your motivation when playing this game? Ian's motivation was to win, and then he changed his motivation. His motivation became, I just want to get out of this game and have people respect me. I don't want to like feel like crap for the next 6 months when the show airs, and people talk about me, and everyone in the cast hates me. Maybe that's what Ian doesn't want to live with. That he just wants to like end the game and feel good about himself and know that the people who he's with respect him. That's what he cares about. So.
And I appreciate that.
No, it's like from a non-survivor perspective, it's great. From a game perspective, it's a terrible move. Sure. And I think he would have got Tom's respect regardless. But it's okay. No, it's fine. I think it's the longest challenge that ever happens. And they never let a challenge go like this again, because so it's another thing I heard. So Tom did an interview as well, and during Tom's interview he clarified that our cat, man, I don't know if you heard him, he just went he's trying to be Wanda. So Tom actually said during this challenge they tried to like change up the challenge and like make them do 1 foot and stuff, but Tom like argued. He's like, no, he's like, you never, like when we started the challenge you said stand on this buoy and whoever lasts the longest wins. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here, and he held them to that. And he's like, you can call your lawyers. He's like, and when the lawyers say it's okay, we'll go on, we'll do whatever, the 1 foot thing or whatever. And so apparently it never happened, because I think like, and you'll see it in modern seasons where Jeff's like, at certain intervals, we're going to change up the challenge, or we're going to like make it harder or whatever. But this season he didn't do that. And Tom called him on it. And you could probably thank Tom for why all future endurance challenges like have like,
extra
steps, because they try to throw it in here, but Tom's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Look good on
probably because Tom knew he'd lose, and smart on him. Like, why put, like, Ian's like 20 years younger, he probably would win on 1 foot. So Tom's like, no, you didn't say that, and you can call your lawyers. So plus also good on Tom, another little manipulation thing there. I'm gonna assume that Tom's story is true. I have no reason about why he would make that up, but good on him, because he knew that calling the lawyers from Palau was probably a hassle in itself, then having the discussion. And by the time the whole discussion was done, the challenge probably would have been over anyways.
Of course.
So great on Tom. I know it's not on the show, but I think it's like good move on Tom, even working on Survivor production with his, anyways. So you hate Katie.
I really don't like Katie.
That was a great transition.
Yeah. Basically.
Why?
She's mean. She's annoying.
She's Katie's a character.
She's not even that much. She's not funny. She thinks she's funny.
That's what makes her funny.
I didn't see anything that I thought was funny.
She's not your type of humor, I think, is the fair thing to say.
Sure. Okay. I'm sure someone out there appreciates her. I mean, Ian liked her. They were like best friends, so that's good. I don't think, I bet you, and we haven't really talked about it yet, I don't think she'll get a story video based on, right now, currently we're doing voting on the Patreon. I don't think she's going to get one, but good.
Wow, that was deeply offensive to me. But I think she's a character. I think she has moments, even if you don't like them.
I just don't see the necessity to make fun of people on the show.
She was unaware, though, of how the jury felt about her, because when they got to Final Tribal, it seemed like the Final Tribal started with her and Tom normal, and then I think it was like, was it once Coby went up, or whoever went after Coby? It's like some point she realized this jury doesn't like her. I want to say it was. I don't know, but she did a terrible job at jury too. Like that's what I'm saying. She was blindsided. She has no humility. She went into final jury. Oh, okay. Well, because when Janu got up and said whatever, I don't even remember what it was that Janu said. Mm-hmm. And basically, Katie's like, "You're not gonna like my answer anyway, so I'm not gonna answer." Oh, I know. Like, that's shade. That? I know you haven't seen Thailand, but it's shades of Clay Jordan there, because Clay Jordan is the same thing, and you're like, "What are you doing?" Like Clay, you don't like. Here she basically gets blown out. She only gets Coby's vote, so it's not like it was close. It's not like if she had gotten Janu's vote, she would have won. She's probably,
Sure,
I think at the reunion, I don't know if it was the reunion, but Janu's like, you're right, I wasn't going to vote for you. So, I mean, Katie was right, but it's not about just Janu. It's like all these are jury members that are sitting there watching.
You.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about the person you're answering questions to. And that's the good thing. Like, when you can't sit there and be like, Janu, I loved you, and Coby's the biggest jerk I've ever met in my entire life, and then Coby comes up and you're like, Coby, I love you. Janu's the biggest jerk ever. Like, it's not a one-on-one conversation.
Right.
There's a jury observing, so I'm with you there. But no, I think she went into Final Tribal not aware of how the jury felt about her, and she was blindsided. And I don't even know if she put on Chris Doherty levels of performance here that she could have pulled out a win. I think at that point it was way too late. Going to the end with Tom was the mistake.
Probably not, but she would have gained some respect. Maybe.
Yeah, she might have gotten a second vote, maybe, but
like, I don't know. It just really bugs me when people pick on weak people. Like, it just seemed like she was a big bully. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
This is why you're on the podcast. You have a different opinion from me, and I like it.
I'm good.
Like, you hate James, and I also am not a big fan, so we have differing opinions.
I don't hate James.
I know, you just don't care for James now. James is just okay at best. Yeah, no, I agree about I think Katie, so there was a decision, I think, at some point where it was like, go with Greg and Jen or go with Tom and Ian. Mm-hmm. No, sorry. It was at Final Six. It was Greg, Jen, Karen, her. She basically, the only person I think at Final Six that she could have beaten after Steph gets voted out is Karen. Yeah. I think it's the only person. I think Karen's the only person who she could have beaten. And that's just a hard path to do because, like, if you really think about it, like, let's circle back. Okay. Steph's still in the game. She couldn't beat Steph. I don't think. I think Steph. No. I think Tom might be the only person who could have beat Steph. Maybe. Depends on how that all went down. Yeah. And even then, who knows? Steph might still have gotten, everyone's like, you know what? Screw Tom. Steph survived all of us and was cool. So let's go back one more person. Could she beat Coby? Maybe. I mean, Coby was voted out for Steph, showing you just how much I don't care for Coby. So going into the merge, there's only two people she can beat, Coby and Karen, and they're not even good. Like, they're not even good at this game, at least not in this season. So it would have been a hard path for her to get to the end. So then really it's less about, okay, who could I beat? It's more like Katie would have to change who she is as a person. Yeah. And that's just like that's a tall task to ask of anybody. Mm-hmm. And so Katie was kind of, for anyone who's not Coby or Karen, kind of a goat to bring to the end. And that's why Tom and Ian were basically like, I'm bringing Katie to the end.
Well, that's why Tom was bringing her. Ian was genuinely her friend, and that's why he was bringing her.
Yeah, but I think at the same time he knew he could beat her.
Well, sure.
Why else wouldn't he want to bring Tom? He knows that Kay's an easy person to beat.
Sure. Yeah. You're right. I understand.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I wasn't there. Just basing it on the show.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. But I think this is a good way to transition to Tom, who is the winner of the season.
And we have talked a lot about Tom. Already,
we have talked about Tom in bits and here and there, but really, what do you think of Tom?
I liked him overall. I think he's a human, so he has some points. Sometimes
he's an alien.
Okay. There were some times where I was like, oh, really? Okay. But overall, like, he had great gameplay. He had pretty good relationships. He was all in the game. Like, he's really good strategically. He's a good challenge beast. He's good at just camp life.
We didn't even mention that, but he was a challenge beast.
Well, we did mention that because we said him and Ian.
I know, but like, I don't want to undercut the importance of that because he wins 5 individual mini challenges. So let's look at this. How many times was he eligible in the game of Survivor to be voted out? Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. The Willard vote, he was eligible, but were they going to vote out Tom over Willard? No. So like, he was eligible technically, sure. So that's one time, and then let's look at the next time. He wins the first 2 immunities of the merge. That's when Coby goes, and that's when Janu quits. Mm-hmm. I remember because then they get back from that Stephenie's like, no, she's going home, and they get back from the tribal council. He's like, you know what? I have the immunity necklace, but really, Stephenie earns.
That's right.
It's like, this is what I mean. Like Tom. But Tom was his first 2. And then on the Stephenie vote, Ian has immunity. So like, sure, Tom could have gone, but Stephenie was clearly the bigger endgame threat because she's at the end. She has the story, as Greg says. So really, we then get to the next one where Greg gets voted out. This is the only chance, in my opinion, where Tom actually could have gone home is on the Greg vote. And not like Tom didn't have some easy path to the win. It was clear that like if he didn't win all these immunities, he was probably going to be voted out at some point.
Ian would have voted him out, I'm sure.
It's likely that Ian would have flipped on him before he had a chance.
Well, I guess that's what we just talked about, as how Ian had a chance to take him out and he didn't. But
really, his only chance was when Greg went.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that was the time that Katie came to him, is like, listen, vote with me and Greg.
Yeah.
Let's vote, get Tom out. And Tom's like, I don't know.
Yeah, but Ian's like, if you do that, it's going to be a tie. It's going to be 3-3. Because it ended up being a 4-2 vote where Greg and Jen voted together. Also, funny when Greg asked Jen, like, can I do this at the reward? And everyone's like, Greg, grow some, man up, Greg. What are you asking Jen for? Anyways, especially Tom. So, yeah, his only chance really to go was when Greg was voted out. After that, it was Tom winning all the immunities when Karen, Jen, and Ian go. And, I mean, good on him. Like, I'm not a perfect game of Survivor because he didn't get every single final tribal council vote. He just like Sandra, he came one vote shy of having a perfect game. So impressive winner, but yeah, it wasn't like, I feel like, not to compare Sandra and Tom, but to compare Sandra and Tom, I don't think Sandra at any point was ever like, people were like, let's get rid of Sandra. We're going to vote out Sandra next.
Yeah, they were.
Were they?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, because remember that one time where she spent the day moping around on the beach and she was going to quit. Remember that?
No,
what season was
I
that?
know, but Sandra Pearl Islands.
Yeah,
but she never won immunity. So she got herself out of the situations through social gameplay.
Yeah.
And Tom, and I'm not to diminish challenge wins because they are important and they can obviously, as proven here by Tom, and will be proven by at least another winner down the line or two, maybe. I don't remember every winner. Another challenge wins, but challenge wins can and will help you get to the end and win the game. But it's almost like if I was to compare Sandra and Tom, like I think Sandra's on paper is a technically more impressive win. But at the same time, I'm not going to diminish Tom's 5 immunity wins. Like that
right,
is
and he still had to get people's votes. Like just because you make it to the end doesn't mean people will vote for you.
Exactly. Great point, because we have seen people basically go on challenge runs and then lose at the end. Coby won 5 his season, still lost.
Yeah.
Boston Rob, I think, won 3, still lost. Jenna won 4. I forget almost every day that Jenna actually won 4 in the Amazon. She won, but I don't think anyone was just saying, Jenna, what a challenge beast. But the very first season, Kelly Wigglesworth wins 4, doesn't win, loses to Rich. So it's not challenge beast you win. I think it's the first time a challenge beast wins the game.
Yeah, so that shows his social game.
I just did a video, actually, the history of challenge beasts. And this is actually what I was editing. I was like, Mary, you can't come in here. I don't want you, because I knew I was going to talk about Tom and I didn't want you to be spoiled, because you didn't know yet about Palau and Tom. But yeah, the challenge beast, it's like he's the first one to win. And I think he got that. He's a fireman. Like he's got a lot of traits that like make like the average viewer go, oh, I love Tom. Mm-hmm. Tom's a great winner. And I feel like the average viewer hadn't seen a great winner. And I'm going to run through these with you. The last winner is Chris. Do you think the average viewer liked Chris?
No.
No, he's purposely playing a villainous game. I love Chris. I think it's a hilarious game to watch.
Right.
I think it's even better on a rewatch, knowing that we're getting to a point where Chris is going to turn on everybody. Before that, Amber. I think we can easily say not popular winner.
Yeah.
Before that, Sandra. While we like Sandra, at the time, there was no context for what Sandra was going to do down the line. Mm-hmm. Sandra was just this sassy loudmouth who won. And by the way, I like Sandra in Pearl Islands a lot, actually. I was surprised by how much I liked her.
But people like her.
But in general, she was not like a well-loved winner, and everyone was distracted by All Stars coming in like 2 months. Mm-hmm. Before her, Jenna Maraska. Yeah. No. Before her, Brian Heidick. I know you haven't seen Thailand, but trust me.
I know all about Brian Heidick.
Before him, Vesepia. I love Vesepia, but Vesepia was not a popular winner. Mm-hmm. She was actually quite quiet. Quite quiet. Wow. Very quiet. Before her, Ethan. That was the last time people had a winner that they truly liked since season 3.
Yeah.
So if we had a stretch of like 6 or 7 seasons here where winners were like, but then you get Tom and it's like, there's not much here to dislike about Tom.
Yeah. I get that.
And I like Tom.
Mm-hmm.
He does come back for Heroes versus Villains. I don't think you remembered that though before I told you the other day.
No.
Yeah. So, and you've seen Heroes versus Villains.
It's been a long time.
I know. It's just funny. So, I want you to predict how Tom does in Heroes versus Villains.
No.
Yeah. Just, I won't, you want me to, I can tell you after you predict. If you want, or do you want to wait till we actually Heroes versus Villains again to remember?
Before the merge.
Yeah, before the merge.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, because he's a winner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And yeah. But it's still Tom. When here's the villains, it's not like he changed personality.
I mean, he
It's still
killed
Tom.
a shark. That was really cool.
Oh, yeah. We totally, unreported story. He did kill a shark this season. And it's like, which one's more impressive? This shark that he killed or Richard's shark? Richard, I think, made more of a show in All Stars where it's like, the shark bit me and I bit the shark. And Richard made a show of it and Tom just like murdered a shark.
Yeah.
There was no show. Tom just murdered the shark.
It was really cool.
And they kept like, they were playing with fire. They were like, hey, was it hanging snakes or they were like killing snakes and like putting them on the edge of the water to get sharks to come. Mm-hmm. Oh man, talk about a dangerous hunt there.
That was dumb in my opinion.
If something bad, I mean, yes, it was risky, I think is the word.
Well, they were using food as bait when they didn't really have any food. Which, sure, if they'd gotten a shark, that would have been worth the risk.
Okay, but it's just like fishing. You put a worm on a hook, sure, you can eat the worm, but the fish is better.
They caught the snakes to eat. Then they saw the dorsal fin and like, oh, we could get a shark instead. Like, I don't know. I think at that point when you have had no food and eat what you've got.
But did they get the shark?
No, they didn't. Not that day.
Right, not that day. But they got the shark later on, and they had so much shark that they couldn't even eat all the shark. And then Oolong's like, oh my gosh, they have so much food that they can't eat it.
Oh, I'm sure they ate it all, just maybe not all in one sitting.
Oolong just like every time they went back to camp just had to like hear sad songs like Mad World, Sound of Silence. Like that was just the soundtrack at their camp. It had to be. Like there's just like how do you see? It was
pretty depressing.
Karor eating and getting every reward win, and like it's crazy is that one time, they did the reward where it's like build the SOS thing.
Yeah.
They said be creative, so you couldn't just do an SOS, I guess. And like, I guess Karor's was better, but it wasn't like I didn't see it and think to myself, Karor clearly won.
The only reason I got it. I mean, they said the only reason that they won was because theirs was actually out on the beach, so there was no trees covering it.
I'm just saying, if there was a challenge where they could have given it to Oolong, it was that one. I think it's the one where they get the MREs.
Yeah.
And they still give it to Karor. So it's almost like, is Survivor rigged? No, because Oolong would have gotten that if it was, I feel like. They would have given Oolong the food. But maybe they were, I don't know. I mean, I agree. Okay, so Karor's is like better, but it's like, I feel like in other seasons, my personal opinion, it's like when the tribe wins, it's like this is to me at least. I'm like obviously it's like before they even announce who's gonna win. I'm like this is who won.
Sure.
This time I was like this
close. One was really close. That one was close. Yeah.
Because like in Africa they'll do it and like one tribe will use colors because they have like paints, and then the other tribe doesn't because they don't have paints that they brought as a whatchamacallit,
a luxury item.
A luxury item, yeah. So. Like obviously the one with colors wins. So anyways, this time to me it wasn't obvious, but yeah, Oolong just couldn't catch a break. Oh, the only break they caught was like so they get a sewing kit, so they're all walking around like they're from Bible times, and like Bobby John's like just wearing like a piece of white cloth or whatever. Like that's it. Like it's all he's wearing like over his whole body the whole season from that point on. They win that like the second episode, maybe third episode, and then and then they win a reward where they get Pringles and alcoholic drinks and that's it. And I'm like, that's not food. Where's the food? And then he gets swim with the jellyfishes and that's super cool, but I feel like they're still on an empty stomach basically. Like they're filled up with Pringles.
Yeah, they should have had some sandwiches or something too.
Yeah, sandwiches and Pringles would have been good. Yeah, like they had sandwiches. I've been like, okay, like this is a pretty good reward. Sandwiches, Pringles, whatever their alcoholic drinks were that they drank. Yeah, it was that's not how it worked out though. Nope. But swimming with the jellyfish is pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Would you have done that if you were on Oolong? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Being told that they're not going to sting you?
Yeah.
I'm a little creeped out still.
I love jellyfish.
When I was in Guantanamo Bay, we also had like a whole thing of jellyfish, but they would sting you. Not that I found out the hard way, but
I saw people.
Yeah. Let's say I didn't fall in.
You did.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was I freaked out pretty hard. I was like, I gotta get back on the boat. It was like a pontoon boat, so I had a lot. I was like, I gotta get back on the boat. Nothing stung me, but it was just in the and so maybe it was like this where it's like none of them because it was like in a little bay thing. Anyways, story of me in Guantanamo Bay, time me freaking out with the. I didn't think I was gonna talk about that in this podcast, but you just never know anymore.
You just never know.
You get an hour and a half into a podcast and you just hear Wesley talk about his time in the Navy. Yeah. No, I was totally freaking out because I thought they were all going to sting me, and I was going to like, because there was another guy who went off the pontoon boat after seeing me go in there and not getting stung, who thought to himself, oh yeah, I'll jump in, and he did for fun, and he got stung. So, and it was like, I want to say he gets stung in his face, but he got like definitely a jellyfish went across his face because he had stuff on his face when he came out. It was pretty gross. It was like, yeah, it was pretty gross. So for anyone who was thinking like, I'm gonna take a vacation to Guantanamo Bay to go swim with the fishes, or sorry, swim with the jellyfish. Swimming with the fishes is a mobster. Go to
Palau instead.
Go to Palau instead. Yes. If you were like, oh, should I go to Palau or should I go to Palau or should I go to Guantanamo Bay? Palau.
For sure.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
It was beautiful.
Big Gitmo. Yeah. No, it was definitely a beautiful location, I'll say. I really like the volcanoes of Vanuatu. Mm-hmm. I think All Stars was an ugly season to look at, but Pearl Islands, I think Pearl Islands was just a fun season, so I made me forget the location. Amazon was interesting. Thailand was interesting in points. I want to say Palau is probably straight up the most beautiful location we've been to in the first 10 seasons. Mm-hmm. Vanuatu, close second because of all the volcanoes and how blue the water was. I mean, I really wish after All Stars, and I know at 2004 or whatever, 2005 it was a stretch. I wish they had shot the show in HD. I wish they'd filmed in HD because like this season and the last season were beautiful. And the next season they're going to the Mayan Empire. Oh yeah. And it's still in standard definition. I'm like,
I mean the Mayan ruins.
Sorry, the Mayan ruins. Well, I think it's called
time travel.
I think the season's called Season 11. Survivor Bill and Ted. And they just like everyone gets in their own, like each tribe gets in their own phone booth and they go back in time. Mm-hmm. Jeff's like, don't worry, I'm gonna take the DeLorean, I'll meet you there. Everyone time travels back to the Mayan Empire to play Survivor. Well, what a season that would be. I can't wait.
We have several interesting alternate universes.
Yeah, we're going to need some serious technological advances to make that season happen, but it could happen. Now, season 11 at the Mayan ruins, yeah, I wish if only this was shot in HD as well. Eventually, they'll go to China in season 15, HD. We're missing out. We're just missing out. I'm like, these cool locations, we don't get HD till season 17. So a bit unfortunate because like some of these seasons really could have benefited from that because I think some fans don't watch them because they are standard def.
Really?
You know?
I think if you're a true fan, like it doesn't matter.
No. I just mean like, sure, if you're a hardcore fan, you've watched every season, or it doesn't really matter. You hear a season's good, you're just gonna watch it, like Pearl Islands. But I think I think if Vanuatu and Palau had been shot in HD, you'd have like, okay, the HD era starts in season 9. I'm more compelled to watch it as a casual fan. I think you'll never see these seasons go to Netflix unless Netflix gets like every season because they're in standard definition. If that makes sense.
Sure.
I'm just telling you, like, if I were to go watch a new show right now, it's not Survivor, or not Amazing Race. You know what I mean? Like a show I've never watched, and you're like, it doesn't really matter what seasons you watch. You could start in season 17 when it starts in HD. I'd be like, yeah, I'll probably start there then because that's gonna look better. Yeah, because
you're a snob about that stuff. Not everyone is like that.
I know. I'm like, I need it in HD. In fact, if this isn't 4K, I'm not watching. No, I never did that. But no, I agree with it. It could just be me. All right.
I'm sure there are a few other people out there like you, but not many.
So I know earlier we ranked the seasons. Let's rank the winners so far from your perspective. This is really from my perspective in terms of rankings, but I'll do that all later. So the winners that you've seen. So you got Jenna, you got Sandra, you've got Amber, you got Chris and Tom. Who's number 1? Who's the best of all of them? In your opinion?
Out of these 5, I would say Tom.
All right. Number 2.
Sandra.
Number 3.
Chris.
Okay. Number 4. You got Amber or Jenna?
Amber.
And then Jenna's last.
I mean, they're both kind of pretty equal to me, but.
Yeah. I mean, I think on my own personal winner rankings I did for the first 8 seasons, if I recall correctly, I put Amber and then Jenna. Jenna was my last one, if I recall. Anyways, all right, let's wrap this bad boy up. Do you have anything else? No. Okay. I don't have anything else. Well, thank you everyone for listening to our podcast. We'll be back with Guatemala when we get to Guatemala. Bye.